Have you ever been so deep in your own head that nobody could reach you? Like not even yourself? Or taken on someone else's pain so intensely that you started to feel like it was your own? Or found yourself smiling through something even though everything in you wanted to scream? Now you've probably felt these things, but did you have the words for them? This is part of a series where I'm trying to build emotional vocabulary. Words for the unnamed emotional states we all go through, especially during growth, change or recovery. Because sometimes we don't actually heal until we know what we're feeling. Now I bet you've heard words like hanger, that's hunger and anger mashed together, or hangxiety, that anxious dread that hits during a hangover. These words caught on because they made people feel seen and understood. They gave shape to something vague and they made it okay to name that. When I got sober, I realised there were dozens of emotional states that I didn't have language for. And that lack of language was part of what kept me stuck. So I started inventing some. Today, I want to introduce you to 3 words. Now, these are just playful and don't need to be taken too seriously. The first word is consumepathy. It's built from consume, to absorb, and empathy, the ability to feel with someone else. Consumepathy is what happens when empathy goes too far. You don't just understand someone's pain, you carry it. You take it on like it's yours, and over time that can really wear you down. So you become consumed by empathy. This definitely showed up for me in sobriety. I've always been emotionally sensitive, hyper-attuned even to people around me. But once I stopped drinking, I realised how much I was absorbing their grief, their anxiety, their mood, essentially. Before, alcohol kind of blurred all that stuff. It blurred the lines and it numbed the overload that I was feeling. But when I removed it, I had to face how much of other people's emotional energy that I'd been carrying. I thought like, oh, I'm just being kind or I'm a good listener, maybe. But I was actually just vanishing inside. And there's like no me left in the room. Now I'm learning to sort of feel without fusing, to care without carrying that weight. And just having a word like consumepathy helps me to catch it early before it can sort of take me over. You catch it before the empathy I feel for others consumes me. So word number 2, this one's introscapism. This is a blend of introspection, so going inwards, and escapism, running away. So that sort of sounds like a bit of a paradox, so let me explain. Introscapism is when deep self-reflection becomes a form of emotional hiding. Like you're not just alone, you're basically unreachable. You vanish into your internal world and you stop showing up in the external one. So it's a bit like escapism, but when you're escaping into an internal world to disappear in there. Introscapism isn't about knowing yourself though. You're not going in and being kind of a deep person. It's actually about protecting yourself from feeling too much. And it's really just self-abandonment dressed up as reflection. It's similar to escapism, but not exactly the same, and the distinction is important. It's sort of like you're saying, I don't want to deal with the world, so I'll disappear inside myself and call it reflection. So where escapism says, distract me, introscapism says, leave me alone, I'm thinking. But both really are ways not to feel what we're really feeling. And alcohol dependence thrives in that emotional landscape. Years ago, a friend said this famous quote to me, "No man is an island." But he then went on to say, "But you are an island, Rob." And he meant it with affection. I mean, we have a strong friendship. But even inside of that closeness, I think he could feel how I would shut myself off and how I would drift into isolation and disappear inside myself. And I think without knowing the word, he was pointing to this kind of introscapism. Back then I would have called it solitude, needing space, but really it was disconnection, emotional lockdown dressed up as like quiet time or solitude. And the twist here is that alcohol didn't actually send me into introscapism. It was actually my attempt to get out of it. Drinking gave me the confidence to come out, to connect and to meet the world. But the problem is that's not real connection. And it's a temporary override, and it always comes at a cost. Now in sobriety, I'm learning to emerge without needing that crutch. I still have the instinct to withdraw and to reflect, but I don't get lost in there, and I don't hide in there. I can go inward and I can come back out with presence and with new words to describe it. So that's what introscapism is, and naming it gave me a map to navigate it instead of getting trapped in it. So on to word number 3. Number 3 is the word pretensia. It combines to pretend, to put on an act, and tension, that strain that we feel under the surface. Pretensia is the emotional dissonance of acting okay when you're not. It's the smile you wear at work when everything inside you feels hollow. The nod, the laugh, the I'm fine that hides this kind of growing storm inside you. Pretensia isn't about ego, it's about survival. It's not fake confidence, it's like a protective camouflage almost. Where pretentiousness says, hey, look how great I am, pretensia says, I'll pretend I'm fine so that people won't look too closely. Having this word made me think, wait, so that thing I thought was me being quiet or kind of fine was actually a coping strategy. Alcohol helped me maintain pretensia. It dulled me just enough to perform, to show up, to be fine, but underneath I was in pain and disconnected. And I was also drained from holding all of that stuff inside. Sobriety made pretensia kind of harder to do. And therefore it makes things better. Because without alcohol, I had to feel whatever it was I was avoiding, and I had to stop performing for the comfort of others or for the comfort of the view of myself. So now I try and catch it when I'm about to go into performance mode, which is a form of self-abandonment, when I'm about to smile through something instead of speaking it. Sometimes just naming it as pretensia, I'm doing that thing, is enough for me to come back to that level of honesty. So I think like the opposite of pretensia is presence. That's what you're coming out in. In sobriety, I'm coming with presence instead of pretensia. Showing up as you actually are. So those are my 3 silly words: consumepathy, introscapism, and pretensia. And here's the thing, I didn't invent these to sound clever. I invented them basically because I needed them. I needed a better way to talk about what I was feeling, especially in early sobriety. Now, whether or not these words catch on in the wider world remains to be seen. I understand they can feel a bit silly and tenuous at first, but they have been helpful for me just to name the feeling. I think that's a really important thing. That's the crux of it. If you can name it, you can see it and you can understand it. And that's what in the third person is about. It's about being able to step back and view things from a different perspective. Having language is another way of doing that. A word can give you a new way to look at something. And this is where we really start to wake up. And this is where alcohol becomes unnecessary, because there's now language for the feeling that used to send us heading for the bottle. Because once we can name something, we're no longer trapped inside it. We can observe it, work with it, move through it without shame or confusion. Zoom out into the third person and see it for what it is. Now maybe you've felt one of these states, or maybe there's something else you've felt that has never had a name. Now if that's you, leave a comment. Maybe we can name it together. Or if you have any of your own words to describe a particular emotional state, drop them down below in the comments and we can discuss them. I'd love to hear them. They can be quite fun to invent. Now, if you stuck around this far, I've got a bonus word for you. It's not part of the original 3, but it ties everything together. See, the word sober, I mean, I use it. It's what most people expect me to use. But the truth is, it's never really fully fit for me. Culturally, sober can mean serious or grave or even boring. Like all of the colour has been drained out. And that's just not my experience. Sobriety didn't flatten me, it woke me up. And so I came up with a different word, trucid. It's a mixture of lucid and true. Trucid means living with clarity, but also with like honesty and alignment and emotional depth. It's not about being dry, it's about being real. Now, these kind of new words can feel odd to start with, but I think they help. And the more we get specific about what we're saying, what we mean and how we feel, the deeper and more connected we become to the world around us. And as if that resonates with you, this channel might be for you. But this isn't just a place to talk about quitting alcohol. It's a place to ask who you become when you start living a trucid life. So if you want more words, more language, and more emotional clarity, subscribe and keep on watching in the third person. I'll see you next week.